I just finished recording a video presentation about how to become a more effective copywriter. Not only being effective as a copywriter in covering the writing process, but also the writing environment that facilitates your ability to deliver materials. Now, this recording was done in Camtasia and it was about an hour long. I was showing screen captures and ultimately teaching the writing process. There will be a link in the description below where you can see that video after it has been published. What I want to share with you today, which is extremely valuable for your productivity, is how do we go from an idea to a finished piece of material, and how do we get those materials promoted so that we can generate leads and sales. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. What we're covering here today is going to help you become a more profitable copywriter, and it reveals some of the behind the scenes business of copywriting, which is that writing the copy is actually the least important thing in your marketing. Now, it's like 80-20 rules. It is the 20% that creates 80% of the profit. But again, if you write the copy and then you don't put it in front of qualified prospects, then you've failed. So you can write mediocre copy and put it in front of highly qualified, hungry buyers, and you can get sales. But if you write the very best copy in the world and put it in front of non buyers, then you get nothing. So I have an outline before I start to do the recording. I'm really pushing clients to do long form recordings and then follow the method that I'm sharing here today in order to syndicate those materials to generate leads and to generate sales. Now, this is something you can do for your clients as a service. And a lot of clients are not thinking this way. So you do have to educate them a little bit. You can send them to this podcast, or I could do a custom interview with you about how you've got this unique strategy in order to help clients be more productive. But listen to this from a perspective of what you can do as a copywriter and the nuances that are valuable for helping your clients be productive as well. So, today we have short form content on Twitter and Facebook and Twitch and all these things. And I really believe that distracts quality and intelligent copywriters from doing work that generates sales. Now, the purpose of social media, and there's plenty of studies to show this, is to monetize the attention of the user. Now, if you're creating content for this platform and you're monetizing the content, the attention of the user, you're not going to get the majority of that money. So you're either going to get a little bit of ad revenue, or you might get a like, but you're not getting any money. And if you want to be profitable in the business of copywriting and marketing, you have to understand that the agency is about and a lot of people get mad when I say this. The agency is about hooking a client and keeping them going. But eventually the client figures out that what you're doing is not working and they'll fire you. If you're a direct response agency, which is the type of agency that I advocate, you really need to show real evidence through sales and leads. So, yes, if you're a brand agency, you can say, look at this. We did a YouTube post and you got 500 likes. Isn't that great? 1,000 views. Isn't that great? Give me another $5,000. None of that is valuable. Okay, it's valuable for you as a copywriter if you want to rip off clients. But again, I'm not about ripping off clients. I'm about making maximum money in minimum time. If that video doesn't teach you something about what generates leads and what generates sales, then it has zero value in the direct response world. Now, again, if you're offended by that, that's fine. I'm okay with people dropping out of the podcast and not listening to the whole thing because some people are just plain weak. But the point I'm making is you have to understand the platform's purpose, and what that means is you're not going to be putting content out there organically and hoping something happens. You're going to deliberately create content that serves your customers, that sets them up for high ticket sales, that introduces them to new ideas and concepts, that builds relationship, that positions you as an authority, and all of that will be measured by actions. I measure the success of a podcast by the number of individuals who contact me and either get on the email newsletter or ask me a specific question or engage me as a consultant. Nothing else matters. Now, I do like the fact that I've got 5,000 views on a video, or that I've got a bunch of likes. It feels good, But again, that is a nuance that's designed by the platform, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever, to make you feel good. So you keep creating content for their platform for free because they're going to wrap your content with advertising. Now, that also introduces the fact that advertising is a better way to reach your clients. So, paid advertising that generates leads, that generates sales, is your best approach. Now, in the direct response world, it's better to generate the leads because then in your own medium, you can recontact. And that takes us all the way back to the beginning about why I'd be recording an hour-long training presentation. Very often I have questions from readers and subscribers. I have nuanced things that come up from research that I would want to teach my private clients. So what I do is I create a video for my private clients. I'm not creating a video to get views. I'm not creating a video to get attention. I'm not doing anything other than positioning myself as an expert on a specific topic in which my clients can hire me to do work. You've got to understand that. Okay, this podcast is about generating leads and serving clients. It's not about anything else. It's not about the possibility of, one day making a friend and, I'm going to get a visitor and people are going to like me and I'm going to go viral. No, the last thing I want in my life is to go viral with anything. You guys should have learned that from the corona. Viral is not good for you. Now, viral is very good for the platforms because, again, it helps them sell more advertising. If you're in a position of a advertiser and you're producing content that's long form, it gives you three very powerful upsides. Number one is that when you're complete and finished with the long form piece of content that's been well researched, that's been well thought out, that's maybe following a video sales letter format or maybe following a straight training format, um, whatever it is, that long form piece of material can be broken up into 2 to 5 minute segments. Okay, those 2 to 5 minute segments are used to promote through lead generation the long form presentation. So I just recorded the presentation about your writing environment. I introduced you to the presentation in the beginning of this podcast. I promise you there'll be a link in the description. It might not be there right away, but it'll be there eventually. And so if you just want to ask about it, you visit the website at www.adbriefings.co.uk. Go to the contact page and say, hey, what about that link to the long form podcast about writing, the writing environment? But my point being is the content is developed for a specific audience. So one time I was working with a client and we were writing technical documents about control management. Okay, controls are those things that are in your business process that keeps you from violating laws, rules, or regulations. And there's a certain way to write them. And this particular group wanted information on how to write them. And I was already being paid to produce for them a training document. And I said, hey, look, for a few extra bucks. Now, it's a contract, so they're getting a certain amount of time each week. But some of that time could be used to do a video presentation about the importance of effective controls when it comes to issue management. Now, their pain point was the issue management because an issue is where something's gone wrong. And if they had effective controls, things wouldn't go wrong. So I covered the effective controls in a training program. I listed the 3 or 4 different key things they need to be aware of. I gave them the reason why. I gave them examples of what works and what doesn't work. I introduced them to the core concept that the better their control is and the more effort that they put into making that good, the less effort they're going to have to take handling controls or defects, and the less likelihood they're going to get fined. Okay, that's the gist of the program. I recorded it for the private client and was paid by the private client for those materials. Now you might be saying, well, Justin, that sounds like a hell of a lot of work. Can't I just pick my phone up and just do a tweet? Can't I just, do like a quick video and say, hey, everybody, how you doing? And like just connect in a personable way. Why do I got to be so boring and do a presentation? Now, first off, your presentation cannot be boring and it's got to be target specific to that audience. But once you've recorded an hour long video, an hour long audio or something like that, there's an infinite number of recycling opportunities. Now, if you've been involved in my training program, Recycle Your Marketing, you know that I can take a transcript of the hour-long program, I can give it to an editor can turn that into a special report. I can give the raw video or audio to somebody to be excerpted into podcasts. And you've heard a lot of the excerpts on these podcasts here and there. I can repackage the video and the text and add a slideshow, and now it's a course. I want to be in the business of making money, not writing content, not chasing the latest trend. I want to serve my clients best. I have private clients. I don't have a lot of them. I don't need a lot of them because if they're paying me five figures to put together a training program, which I own mutually exclusive rights to, so they own the rights and they can use it however they want. But if I set up a second camera or I keep the raw materials, I can I still own the rights to those materials as part of our contract. So I can recycle those materials. So sometimes I'll excerpt a very interesting 5 minutes out of it and I'll present it. Now, I am constantly trying to be a better presenter because I do realize with the YouTube statistics that not everybody stays to the end. So again, I'm trying to build up to what would be called platform presenting, where I can do a 2 day discovery presentation, and then I can record those 2 days and have something a little bit more tangible for my end user. But ultimately, by taking the time to invest in the long form and building out that long form in segments, you're going to be able to do the work once and profit many times. Now, I don't always do this with my own work because it can cost a little bit more. But when I'm working with a client, we might record 2 or 3 hours of interviews. So here's an example of one of the things I'll do with a client. So let's say there's a subject matter expert that's using my consulting to income program. So they are subject matter expert. They're usually the profile is in their 40s, and they have a certain expertise that has high value in the marketplace, but they're not getting employed as readily as they were in the past. So what we do is we interview them, we develop some information product or some kind of special report that introduces them as an expert, and we try to get them 3 month to 6 month contracts doing that particular type of work. Now, I've had a lot of success doing that for myself, but when I do it for a client, I'll go a little bit further because they don't have any foundation. They don't have any leads. I got thousands of leads. They don't have any platforms that have a bunch of content. We got to get them started. So we do 2 or 3 hours of interviews. We might have them change their jacket and tie every so often. So a lot of these are professional clients. We might do an hour in one jacket and tie with a certain background, and then we'll shift the camera. The seat's all in the same place. We'll shift the camera, put up a different background, and do another hour, and then we might change the jacket and do another hour. At one time, we spent the whole day. They bought a whole day, and we just knocked out cell phone footage, video camera footage, high quality footage, still shots. We recorded everything. If we had a side conversation, we recorded that. Everything was recorded, libraried, and then based on a profile of their audience, we were able to produce 12 newsletter articles, 12 podcasts. Usually once a month is good enough when you're just getting started, but we were able to produce like 50 to 100 different little tiny social media posts, which of course link to the podcast or link to the video. We were able to get a 45-minute training program. We were able to take their area of expertise, break it down into marketing materials. Now, yes, there is some teaching there. They're teaching key concepts and ideas, but it was mainly about qualifying him as a buyer. We did this with one client, and it doesn't have to be good equipment, by the way. Whatever you do to get started. And we talked about his never go a day in your life without a job. I don't think we used all the footage, but he has gone on to create a book, additional materials, little podcast videos. It's just like, why would you want to spend an hour every day for 300 days when you could spend a weekend and get together a year's worth of materials? Yes, social media, LinkedIn, all these platforms feel like you're doing something when you put out 2 to 3 minute videos. Yes, you'll get engagement, but you're not getting customers. So I wanted to share this with you because, I'm going to edit this video up. I'm going to get it out to my clients. Probably a couple weeks later, it'll go out to the general public. It might go out to general public earlier, depending on, because sometimes it's easier just to post it on YouTube and send it to the clients that way. But ultimately, folks, please, you have to think about what is the outcome you're looking for. It's better to do a well thought out presentation, whether it's a platform presentation, a video sales letter, it could be a webinar. I think Russell Brunson has a webinar model, and then break it up into 1,000 little pieces with contractors. When we do 3 hours of recording, I don't sit around. I don't have a camera. I sit around at the basics. I might do some of the handheld video footage, but we hire a video studio, a video group. Now you might be saying, okay, well look, if you're going to hire a video group and then you're going to hire some video editors and then you're going to hire audio editors and then you're going to transcribe, that's got to be super expensive. Well, it might be super expensive if you're poor, but if you would have spent $20,000 in a year to do this, and we spend $5,000 in a weekend or $10,000 in a weekend, then we saved you time, which you can spend actually serving clients because now you have this year-long drip campaign. Now you have social media set up that drives to landing pages. Now you have a sales letter or something to offer. As a copywriter or a marketer, you can go from freelancer chasing people on the job boards to attracting clients to you with this system in one weekend's worth of work. Now it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. But ultimately, it is the right thing to do. So you can create a writing environment to write content. But if you're not taking that written content and turning it into audio, turning it into video, and I have a face for radio, and a voice for uh, I don't know that my voice is ideal for what I'm doing here, but ultimately, folks, I have the sincerity to tell you, you're wasting time chasing the latest trend on YouTube, Rumble, True Social. It's like 40 social networks out there. Why not produce the content based on an offer, which could be an hour long or a 45-minute presentation, and then give it to somebody to put online for you? And they can go on Telegram and all these different platforms and present it for you. And then it all drives people back to the main source, which is maybe a webinar. Maybe you don't even produce the materials. You send them to a webinar. And then on the webinar, you produce the materials real time. But then those materials get transcribed. Then they become the articles. And then you have the newsletter. And the whole environment and system can be put together in a weekend. In fact, I'm looking at, and I've done it before as a workshop for SCORE, and I can do it again as a kind of a retreat. But I'm looking at doing a retreat where we come out here to the Blue Ridge Mountains, out here at the foothills of the Appalachia, and we set you up in a bed and breakfast, and we bring in a couple video folks, some audio folks, and we have a little station set up that you can just ad hoc record some stuff if you want to. And we do interviews. Interviews are a great way to establish credibility. We set up outlines for webinars and actually do those webinars. And even if you don't have a single person in the audience, I can show you how that all this material will be like a year's worth of value that you just got done in a weekend instead of slaving over it every day. And then again, all the social media stuff, you're sitting there with a camera in front of you. What kind of content engages buyers? You don't you don't get want a bunch of likes from high school students. You want likes from don't even need likes. You don't even need views. You need buyers and how to get them. And then what you'll start to see is that really good content that's been developed for sales conversion or developed for lead generation can then be syndicated to every channel possible using Google AdWords or Bing advertising platform, or there's several content advertising platforms. And now you're going to put your content right in front of actual buyers. So it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't need the best video editor, the video studio folks out there. What you need is the raw materials. And perhaps that's what I'm going to leave you with. If you want to do this for yourself, you can simply start with an outline, set up a camera, record, and then recycle. You don't have to have the best video team. You don't have to have the best plan, but you do need to know what your audience expects and wants. And then you just save all the raw materials because you'll be able to transcribe it. You'll be able to re-record it. You'll be able to add slide decks to it. You'll be able to do all kinds of magic fun things. And then after you've done that, we can show you how the analytics works so that you can know who's doing what. Or you can come down and spend a weekend with me and we'll set you up in a bed and breakfast. We'll have a studio set up for you and we'll walk through the entire uh, the entire setup. You don't even need to have equipment to do this stuff. You can do a lot of this stuff with your cell phone. But again, if you do it with multiple cameras, then you can have the future opportunity to have somebody edit it in a different visual way. Um, if you have outlines pre-written, just makes your life easier. But again, if you're interested in that program, I'll set that up. It's probably going to be for 3 to 5 people, maybe at most 9 people, because the particular bed and breakfast that I have in mind here, and in a couple, there's Primland, by the way, if it's a larger group. But you probably want to do a little recreation stuff, but we want to be able to have people interviewing each other. We want to be able to have you produce solid materials when you leave. Visit www.adbriefings.co.uk. Go to the contact page and ask about the uh, promotion expert positioning retreat. I'll give you a free copy just for asking about the retreat. I'll give you a free copy of my Establishing Instant Credibility book, which really helps with that manuscript that you'll use to present from, and ultimately we'll walk through some of the ideas that you can use right away beyond what we've just shared today, where you can, rather than doing all this short form material, just spend a day a week doing some long form material, and by in a week or two, you'll have more material than you'll be able to publish, and you'll be able to go off and actually get billable hours. Don't let the social media distraction be an excuse about why you don't have billable hours. I want you to be at 80% billable, no questions asked. 80% billable. And you're not doing anything unless you're getting paid for it. In fact, I'm in a position now that when I create these long form materials, I've already been paid. And that's where we need to get you to be. So I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefings Copywriting Tips. You can ask your questions at www.adbriefings.co.uk. Go to the contact page. But if you're not already part of our newsletter, join the newsletter. And I'm open to your questions. I'd love to hear your comments. And we're here to help copywriters and marketers have $1 million agency. Instead of being freelancers chasing, I want to have people coming to you and being engaged in what you have to offer so that you can be a profitable copywriter, so that you can have marketing systems in place and get the results that you're looking for. I'll see you in the next podcast. Thanks for being a part of what we do here.